On the June 30th, 2015 edition of Boardgame Breakfast, Chaz Marler of Paradise was asked this question from a viewer.
Many card games, like Dominion or Dixit, have expansions, but aren't called a living or expandable card game. And I can't figure out why. Do you know why this is? Perhaps it could be a topic for Head in the Clouds.
My first thought is, why is he trying to sound like a Bond villain? My second thought is, where can I get a sweet khaki vest? My third thought is, I wonder what he thought about this other topic.
A 3-minute diatribe on thrift stores that shrink wrap their used board games?
But my fourth thought was, I can't wait to hear how Chaz answers these questions about LCGs. And while I thought Chaz did a good job of answering the question, I think there are a couple more key points that could be made. And it's those additional points I'll share with you in this installment of Marty's Musings. Living card games or expandable card games are games such as Netrunner, Warhammer 40k Conquest, Lord of the Rings, Doomtown, and Ashes. These are constructible deck building games that have received lots of popularity over the past several years. So what is the first distinction Chaz gives when comparing these games to expansions of Dixit or Dominion?
Dixit, for example, is primarily marketed as a party game. And while several additional card sets have been released for it, those new cards don't introduce new mechanisms or rules. Instead, they just add more interesting pictures to the game in order to increase its replayability.
Chaz makes a valid point. Dixit expansions provide additional cards to use the base game that really doesn't modify gameplay. Meanwhile, LCGs are meant to provide new mechanics and new types of cards to expand upon its core game. When comparing LCGs to Dominion expansions, Chaz says this.
And even though, like an expandable card game, Dominion has had multiple expansions, those expansions have been staggered out over the course of 6 years. By comparison, expansions for living and expandable card games typically include fewer cards and are released more frequently, such as quarterly or even monthly.
Again, very true. LCG expansions tend to come out every 6 to 8 weeks. Meanwhile, Dominion expansions come out maybe once or twice a year. However, I think there are a few more key points that distinguish LCGs and other card game expansions. First and foremost, LCGs are a variant of collectible card games. They have regular expansions and deck building mechanics like CCGs, but they do not have the blind buy business model. See, CCG booster packs are randomized with various scarcity of cards included. Meanwhile, LCG expansions have fixed cards in them. You know exactly what you're getting, and typically you only have to buy one of them. Another distinction between LCGs and games such as Dominion is that the cards in the expansions for games like Dominion are used by all players. So for example, there's a common market or new mechanics that everyone gets to take advantage of. In LCGs, expansions are used to modify your own deck. They aren't something that will be shared by other players. In fact, other players don't even need to buy that expansion to play with you. And for me, that really is the main distinction, which goes back to the fact that LCGs are CCGs with fixed expansions. And CCGs are all about building, tweaking, and modifying your gameplay experience before you ever get to the table, and independent of what other players are going to do with their decks. So a big thanks to Chaz for letting me write his coattails on this subject.
You're welcome, Marty. Anytime.
Okay, that's just creepy.
Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, and let's get back to the shrink wrap issue. I got more examples of that. I got here, Game of the States, completely shrink wrapped from my local thrift store. How am I supposed to be able to tell what state this game is in? I can't. It's frustrating. Oh, worse yet though, we have this Harry Potter game. Supposedly comes with these really cool little wizard's hats. You can't tell though because of the glare from the shrink wrap on it. You have to be a wizard or something to tell what's inside of this box. Oh, then there is the whale game, which I'd love to see what's in here, but whale game. Even worse than the shrink wrap, though, is the packing tape. They've started to actually put Hey, wait, where are you going? I'm not done with my rant. Got a whole, 9 puns about packing tape. Can I at least have a moon pie?